Good morning, guys. I hope everyone is doing amazing. It is Thursday, the 15th of January, and this is your daily market outlook for today. Before we jump into the charts, as always, I just want you to know that the content on this channel is for educational and informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in my video should be considered financial investment or trading advice. Trading investing always involves risk, and you should do your own, research before making any financial decisions. Any past performance discussed on these videos does not guarantee future results. You are always responsible for your own financial decisions. So, with that being said, let's jump straight into the charts. Hopefully, you guys should be seeing my screen fine. Yep. And before we jump in, let's have a look at what is going on today. So Obviously, Thursday the 15th, we have red folder news at half 2. I don't think there'll be much volume in the markets in regards to CPI or anything like that. It is unemployment claims, so we should have a little bit of volume in the markets in regards to the dollar. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And obviously, we had Great British Pound news, red folder news at 8 a.m. this morning. So that is pretty much it for today in regards to the news. Going straight into the charts, not much has changed in regards to structure. If we look at the dollar straight away, you guys can see we're still in that framework, which is this being our lower high and this being our lower low, and still waiting to see what is going to happen in here, what's going to happen in this daily supply area, because are we eventually going to get that break up and then potentially come and attack, this demand area here, supply area, should I say, or are we going to, obviously see something a little bit different where, we're obviously going to get maybe a break and then we can target, these lows and this daily demand area here. So that's my first thoughts going into the dollar. If we drop down to the 4, can we see anything else significant? So again, not much has changed. Obviously, yesterday we talked about this demand area and also this supply area as well. So that is, still the same scenario. We're still trapped between supply and demand. Obviously, yesterday we did get, retracement into this demand area, which we talked about, and then we had, some sort of movement away. So we did have some sort of movement away, but we didn't break any significant highs like these to confirm that demand is in control and that we can obviously long the dollar, short the major pairs. So yeah, that was what we talked about. Looking at this situation currently, whenever we go, I like to see us break. Like if you look at this scenario, you can see that we have a lot more volume in like this candle or other candles as well that break highs and they break it quite significantly. At the moment we're just slowly, trickling our way up, if you want to say. If we look at the 1 hour, now the 1 hour is telling us that of course we are reacting from this 1 hour supply. Yesterday we had this bullishness. So I'm going to be waiting to see, interestingly, what's going to be happening from here. Because if you look at the structure here, you can see that now we're in this supply. Are we going to obviously have that break of this low? And obviously the market continue downwards, or are we going to just react from where we're currently reacting from, which is this demand area here, which is a valid 1 hour demand. Let me just move this big grey box so it's not too much. This 1 hour demand area here. And now are we going to see volume carry on from here? So it's going to be interesting. If you guys are unsure, because we're trapped between this supply and demand, just wait for a significant break. Are we going to have a significant break of, let's say, this high? Or are we going to have a significant break of this low? And then either way, that can give you the confidence of longing or shorting the dollar. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's keep an eye out on that going into the rest of this today and obviously this week. Looking at EU, pardon me, I've still got a little bit of a cough. Looking at EU at the moment, same scenario, nothing's really changed. You can notice that we're still in this daily demand area. Structural wise of this, it's not the cleanest, it's not the nicest. It's not, it's giving us something right now to say, yeah, we're definitely going to go and target these highs and we can long, Euro USD. So we're not quite getting that at the moment. And then we're also not quite getting the fact that we're not breaking this significant low and we are just choppy in this demand area. And obviously we broke this low, we could then potentially look for, shorting, oh, look for shorting all of these liquidity lows here, maybe even this liquidity low, maybe even this liquidity low. So, we're in that area where we just need to wait to see what is gonna, give us that confidence of participating. If we look at the four, by the way, just quickly on the daily, um, some people would class, this small movement here, this little pullback, as a demand. It's not enough for me. I like to see a demand area clear like this, where it's the last sell candle before a buy or last buy candle before a sell. Um, so obviously, there probably is something on the 4 hour here to it that we're reacting from, but nothing as significant for me. But looking at where we're currently at. If you remember what I said yesterday, we're obviously in this daily in this 4 hour demand. Now, as you guys can see, what happened from here is we're still in this 4 hour range from this area here to here. That is still our lower high on the 4 hour, our lower low on the four. We did mention yesterday that we obviously retraced. Let me just get this up. We obviously retraced from this level to this level above the 50%. So we've come into, above the 50%, which is obviously a premium area where we can look for, shorting from. And that's why we've had some sort of momentum down. But then looking at the other flip side, which we mentioned yesterday, on the 1 hour, we had a 1 hour trend downwards and we had that 1 hour significant break, which was here. And then where's the market naturally come back into? Well, as we always know, it's come back into the demand area. Now, for me personally, because we're in this 1 hour demand, um, I'm obviously always going to favor the 4 hour and obviously the structure that's going on right now. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the one, you guys can see that yes, we're in this demand area. So, buying from here is a significant area to look for, longs from. One sec. Is, to look for longs from 100%. Taps into the 886. We're in a 1 hour demand area. If we go to the 15 or 30 minute, I'm guaranteed it's probably, something that is a bit more clear. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see, look, that's a 30-minute start of the imbalance, 30-minute demand candle. So everything is lining up perfectly. But if you're just looking at the 1 hour, if you're looking at the 1 hour, I would want to see something significant because I'm looking at structure here and saying this is still for me, looking like we're on our way down. So if we look for longs in here, which is valid, I will be keeping an eye on this supply area because this supply area is going to tell me if we're going to obviously, carry on and demand's going to be in control and we could target this high, this high, this high, or are we going to get that short from here and fall and obviously carrying down because of this structure here? And obviously we carry on down, we can target this low, and every other low that we've got, around here. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that does make sense. Again, if you are an aggressive trader, you can look for the lower time frames, 30-minute, 15-minute, um, bullishness away from here to then look for longs to get into this supply area. So, that is something that obviously you can look towards. If we move away from here now, significant break above this high, can it leave a fresh demand area to look to target into that 1 hour supply and then make a decision? So, yeah, keep an eye out on that going into today, of course. Oh, but I do like this supply area. If you're looking at this, I do like from this 1 hour lower high to where we're currently at. My full confidence would be if we do get that break above that, then it will be this is obviously the uptrend is the demand is in control. This uptrend here on that time frames in control, and we can look for a better long position. So that is EU, GU, a little bit more uglier. I just asked my missus, obviously, if you guys know me personally, you know that my missus trades as well. similar-ish to the way that I trade. Um, so, I've just got our opinion on this as well, with GU. And if you look at this current state that we're at, we're the same as yesterday. We're trapped between that supply and demand. If you follow the structures going on, you can see that demand was in control. We broke another higher high. We come back, failed to obviously tap into this demand, but then we broke another high. So, which means this is ugly. Obviously, it's not clear, structure. But what happened then is we failed to, obviously utilize a demand area on the 4 hour and the 50 minute here to go and create, a new high. We failed to do that. We broke lower, tapped into this demand area, which was unmitigated from here. And then obviously we got that movement away. But at the same time, that broke structure. So because that broke structure, we obviously have a fresh daily supply, and that's where we've had this movement away. So, looking at GU, nothing's really significant to tell us like you should be buying, you should be selling. And that's where obviously it can get a bit sticky, and that's where the professionals or the best people in the, in the stock markets, and the best people that are on bloody Wall Street, or the best people that are just traders, retail traders like myself. These people are paid the best and paid the most to make decisions like this. Do I buy? Do I not buy? Do I sell? Do I not sell? Do I sit on my hands and wait for confirmations? Do I go aggressive or not go aggressive? So, it's going to be interesting. But looking at where we're currently at. This was our 4 hour supply area that was unmitigated. We talked about it yesterday. We obviously come in, and then we moved away. And then as we moved away, we obviously left these demand areas that, obviously interesting. If we look at the four, for me, the four, it's pretty much the same as the daily here. It's still this big, long head. Sorry, this big, long trade. Big, long trend, sorry. We are above the 50%. We have mitigated the supply. We are in premium zone. So it's one of them. Can we obviously see that now go and break this low? That is the first thought. But obviously you can see we come in yesterday. I think if you guys are in my Telegram, my free Telegram, you'll notice that it missed me, should I say. My trade idea that I obviously talked about on here, it missed. So realistically, what I'm waiting for with this is I want to be patient. Can I see a break of this low to then look for shorts? Or can I see a break of this high? Just because of these are 4 hour candles. We're trapped consolidating. If we can get this, obviously then we can have a little bit more confidence on a lower time frames to sell, even though we have this demand. That's a decision that we can make. Or can we get, this to give us confidence that we can look for, longs on here. If we look at the 1 hour or the 2 hour, the 1 hour. If you look at the 1 hour, you can see that we're in this, fresh 1 hour, 4 hour demand area. If you want to be a bit more aggressive, you could obviously wait for like this high to be broke. That is one thing you can do from the 1 hour. Can I see this broke, and then look to target that high and this high? That is one scenario. Or if you even look at the, let's say it's not clear because I've looked this morning, the 30-minute or the 15-minute, even though it's not what I like. One second, let me just change this here. If you look at it from this scenario, you know, there's not much that I would be looking on the shorter time frames to look for, a supply area for me personally. Whereas this one would have been a bit more nicer, a bit more cleaner. So basically, lower time frames, I don't like anything on GU. Higher time frames, I'm waiting for a confirmation of, some sort of highs or lows being broke. So again, be patient with that, I guess. NZUSD, let's have a look at the daily time frame. Again, I'm not going to go too much. Nothing's changed in regards to the daily. We're obviously in this daily supply, but still in this daily demand. But structure is telling us that this is our lower high and this is our lower low. Now going into the 4, you can see the 4 hours favoring more of the shorts, where you've got, this range being created, potentially to go and create that new lower low. So for me, we obviously had a pullback in a daily supply, but also this 4 hour supply area here, this consolidation where we broke out. This is our 4 hour supply. You can obviously refine that to, this area or the body of the second wick. But yeah, we got that movement away. We didn't break this low. We come into this demand. Again, we trap between supply and demand. Now, for me, um, what I would be personally waiting for is, of course, first thing is what is the dollar doing? What is the dollar telling me? Do the opposite of what the dollar's telling me. But, we could potentially, pull a bit higher, take out these lows, fill in the rest of this imbalance, and then go and target downwards. Or if the lower time frame is do what the lower time frame is doing currently, let's move this imbalance now. 1 second, move this 1 hour demand as well. You can see that what we could also do is if we break above, let's say, this high, could we see something like this on the lower time frames? But NU is right now not one of my favorites to look at. EU is probably my favorable um, pair to keep an eye on as of today, just because I don't like the way that NU and GU are moving. Going into AUD USD, pretty much the same scenario. If we look at the daily, again, ugly, but we're still reacting from these lower time frame demand areas and also the higher time frame supply area. But this supply area is not giving us, it's not the main supply area just because the structure is bullish. So if you look at the structure, what I'm trying to say is higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. I was going off, I think I said this yesterday with AU because of what NU's structure is doing. And obviously these pairs that trade very, very similar. So looking at the four, what can we see? Well, four's a little bit more cleaner. This being our higher low and this being our higher high. We come into not only a 4 hour but a 1 hour demand. We then got this movement away. So, it's one of them where it's not the cleanest, that is the 4 hour range. But then if you look at the internal structure, which is, the 1 hour, you can see that the market is out of the supply, reacted, took out the high moving down, moving down currently. So are we just, using this now to just go and create this new low and take out these, one sec, take out these triple lows that we've created this liquidity, 1, 2, 3, 4 lows. So if that is the case, we're in this 4 hour supply, and we're also in this, I think it's more of a 1 hour supply. Let me just have a look. This 1 hour supply as well. Let's just mark it out as a one. Now, my only issue is, of course, this is valid, and yes, we can see this. But also, if you remember yesterday, this blue box is referring to a 15-minute supply area, which is, up here because we have that imbalance. So again, it wouldn't surprise me if the markets do go that a little bit higher, take out this high, and then go and target maybe this 15 minutes supply area as well. By the way, that color is disgusting. How do I even make that? There we go. Yeah, so let's keep an eye on that. But AU again is, I know this sounds pretty boring today, but it is what it is. It's the charts. AU, NUG are just ugly for me. Same as obviously when I talk about USD CAD or USD CHF. I can't really see much going on. Basically, and if we look at, for instance, let's have a look at USD CAD. USD CAD, if you look at it from this point on the daily, you can obviously talk about next supply area, which is where we're currently at, being here. Do I like it? No, because we also have a supply area here, a daily, and we also have like this supply area here. So, it's not the nicest to obviously analyze. And then if we drop down to the four, so we're looking at this structure as well. Probably if we go to the weekly, I'm guessing it's not as clear, but you can see the weekly, if you remember, is reactive from this weekly demand. I'm just going to put it daily, but it's a weekly. Change it to W. Pardon me. Going into the four, we're obviously very bullish, not really much of the pullbacks going on. If you focus on, let's start from here, you can see that this is a demand area that we mitigated for our demand. This come back into, this level here, which is ugly, but it still came in, building the imbalance. We haven't had this significant area here. So for me, I just don't like it. I just do not like it. It would have to probably, let's say, break another high and then look for that. But again, I'm just waffling rubbish because, as I said, I don't like the look of these pairs at this moment in time. And then going into USD Japanese yen, if we look at the daily time frame, we broke obviously a new high. And then let me just put this on hours a sec. We brought this new high. You can see it was very, very bullish on USD Japanese yen. We have two fresh daily demand areas, which is what we talked about here and also here. If we drop down to the 4, in fact, I'm going to make that so I can see it on the 4 hours. Yeah. So we drop down to the 4, what can we see? Well, we are currently, reacting as of right now from this level of demand. And also, if you want to refine it, you can see that this is the start of the imbalance. It'll be this level of forward demand that we're reacting out of. So yeah, you can see that's why we're slowing down and we're stopping. But if you look at these 4 hour candles, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 4 hour candles just here going sideways. So nothing significant is saying we should go bullish, we should go bearish on the 4 hour. Now, if you look at the 1 hour, we can see that we had a supply area here. This supply area here. Now, what happened with this 1 hour supply? Well, this 1 hour supply, we obviously had this bearish movement. We pulled back. We failed to go and create a new lower low. Where did we come into? A demand, and now we've had this bullishness up. But we haven't broken this significant high of this daily supply. So again, this is where it can get ugly and can get tricky. So looking at this, still in that supply. If I'm looking at this on like let's see a 30-minute or 15-minute, let's say actually, you can see if I was looking at this from a 15-minute point of view, we was uptrending. You can see clearly see that we're creating, slower time frames in internal structure, and then we've had this move away. So is that move away telling us now that USD Japanese yen wants to go lower? And by going lower, you can look at the 1 hour, for instance, and you can go off like this level of demand. Sorry, supply. Oh, 1 hour supply. And if that's the case, and if USD Japanese yen gives us the confirmation, we could see a pullback and we could go lower into this. We also have, if you look, clear liquidity at the bottom of this that you can target as well. So, it's going to be something that you can keep an eye on going into the rest of this week. That's pretty much it for the major pairs on today. Let's just keep an eye on what the dollar is doing. Is it still bearish? No, it's still trapped in this level of supply and demand. No significant break, away from this low, for instance. So yeah, interesting to see what's going to be going on. Cross pairs, if you look at where we're at on your AUD CHF daily time frame, you can see structure's obviously bullish. We didn't quite hit this daily demand area here, but we are going sideways and consolidating. Looking at the 4 hour demand area was met, didn't break this high. We had this big, two institutional candles. I'd be looking for shorting probably from this area to target these lows here. But again, that's just me looking at the 4 hour. But I'm not going to go too much into the major pairs, sorry, the cross pairs. I'm going to talk about obviously CAD CHF, it's ugly because yesterday we mentioned that we was in this daily demand. If you guys remember, we had this fresh supply area, which was here, which we had the reaction from. We mitigated this 4 hour demand. And then I said to you guys yesterday, what we need to do is if we break above this, then we break above this, then we could be looking for longs over the longer period because we're in this 4 hour demand. Because obviously yesterday, this was, as you guys can see, very easy to understand, we was in a downtrend, and we said we could either come into this area, which would have been a supply sell off, or we can do what we have done, broken this high, and now potentially look for the longs. So if we look from a daily, is anything clear? No. Four, not much is clear on the four. Let's mark this out as um, obviously we come into this demand. Well, we haven't even tapped into that, have we? Yeah, pretty much tapped into that and filled in the imbalance here. That would have been a forward demand. And that's where the market is slowly starting to react from. If we look at the 1 hour, can we see anything different? Well, 1 hour still downtrending. You can see 1 hour supply still in control. There's no significant low broke. You can see that we've got this 1 hour supply here, and we're also in this 1 hour supply now. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is 1 hour supply is in control. So where can we expect the market to come into next? Well, if the market's going to carry on down, we're going to come into this supply area here, this 1 hour supply, and we're going to carry on. We're going to unset, we're going to carry on like this until what? Well, we're going to carry on like that until, or so to say, unless we get a significant break on the one, because then it's like, okay, 4 hours bullish, 1 hour's bullish. Now I'm confident enough to look for the longs. So that's why I'll be keeping an eye out for a CAD CHF. Anything else I'm not really interested in, I'm honest, I'm not going to cover any of the other ones. But I just want to say I appreciate every single person on here. I've had, quite a few messages from you guys, basically giving me thanks and just saying that they obviously, appreciate these videos being back. So yeah, same goes to you guys. As much as you appreciate myself, I appreciate, you guys as well, tuning in and showing the love and stuff. So yeah, man, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and God bless.